When learning how to get around in your software, it's also important to understand how panels and workspaces work inside the software so that you know what to do if something happens or how to modify something. And so in this video, I hope to help you learn a little bit about your workspace, the panels, and how to create your own custom space. So when we're talking about panels, we're talking about things like your properties panel, your sequence view panel. These things are, by default, these are locked, meaning I can't do anything with it. And the reason that it's locked by default is a lot of people would accidentally turn one off, move it, a lot of different things. So it just made it easier to lock it down, especially when it came to teaching. So if I want to be able to modify it, I can come into the preferences. But before I do that, I just want to show you, like if you come into like your sequence view, you can see that there's a lot of space here. If I click on an object, you can see the apply buttons right here. I can click and drag this up and get more real estate that I can view from the sequence view. Now, there are many people that work with laptops, and sometimes, depending on the resolution of your screen, this sequence view can actually come over the top of the apply button. You don't even see it. So it's important to know that you can click and drag it down. So if you're on a laptop that is kind of scrunched and you don't see the apply button in your properties box when you select something, you'll want to come to that sequence view, like right above it, and you'll want to click and drag it down or drag it up. It's kind of whatever you need to do, but it's important to understand that you can do that. So also at the same time, I can click and drag right here and make it a little larger. Now, there's not really much of an advantage to doing that because this panel, this properties panel, only goes so wide. So as you click and you drag it, it stays the same size. Now your sequence view does look larger, but typically I just use the default for that. So the other thing, when you're looking at wanting to maybe move it, you need to come into your preferences. So in the preferences box, we're going to be looking for the panels and unchecking the box so that we can actually manipulate it. So when I come in here to this view panel, you can see there's a lot of different things that we have available to us. And right here you'll see there's a checkbox for lock properties, sequence view, and library windows. If I uncheck this and hit OK, now you'll notice that I have a couple icons here. I have this pin and I have this X. If I click on the X, it'll close it. If I click on this pin, it goes away. Now it doesn't go entirely away. What it's doing is pinning it over here to the side. So if I come back over and I go to the sequence view and I click this pin here, notice that I don't see any of those panels. But if I hover over any of them, they'll show up. So even that properties box. So if you're really working on a space that's very limited and you want to maximize your kind of page view, this might be an option you want to try. And again, you have to go into the program preferences to access it. So if you do it and you want to get it to pin back in so it stays there, when you hover over it and it flies out, you can just go up to the top and you can click that pin again, and now it's going to stay there. So I can go to my properties panel, view it, and pin it. There's a chance that one might be on top of the other, but that is the way that you can hide them and show them again. Like I said, if I click on it, it'll just go away and it's no longer here. So I don't have my properties panel at all anymore. But I can come up here, luckily, and click this properties and it will bring it back. So the other thing that you can do is I can click on the title here and drag it. So I can drag it off of the page, and so if I'm working with a really large computer screen and I want to do this, I can click and drag it off of my screen, and I can make it larger, smaller, whatever I want to do. The other thing you can do is you can pin it somewhere else. So as I click and drag, you'll notice that there are these little arrows all over the place, and as I hover over one, it will show me where it's going to place it. So I could do it right here, and now I could have my properties and the sequence view side by side. If I click and drag it again, I can come up here and drag it back into space. Now notice that it made it really large. No big deal. I can come back over to here. I can click and drag this back to the original size. So you do have that ability inside of the software to move things around, these different properties boxes. Even this, if I click and drag it, you'll notice that I can put it on the side if I want. I can put it up top here. I can put it over here on this side. You can kind of do a lot of things with your workspace here. And so those are the different panels though, and that's how you can actually modify them. Now if I want to lock them back in, I just come back over here to the preferences, click on view, and I click this box and press OK. I keep it this way. By default, if I really want to change something at that point, I'll go in and uncheck it. Just makes it easier so I don't accidentally do something here. If for some reason you move some things around and things just aren't coming back together, there's always an option that you can choose to get everything back to normal. So meaning if you click and you drag these around and for some reason you can't figure out how to get something back, or let's say that you no longer see a toolbar, which we'll discuss in another video, you can come up to toolbars, click on it, go down to Workspaces, and just choose to reset your workspace. Now I'm not going to do it on this video because a lot of times it'll change the position of where the software is on your screen and the size, and in this video that won't work well. But that's how you can work with your panels and how you can change the position of them around, the different things that you can do. So I hope that this helps. In the next video we're going to explore workspaces in much more detail, where we'll actually work with these toolbars. We'll move them around, we'll save the workspace, and I'll show you at that point how to reset it.